Hey everybody, hope you're well. Hey Barry Lee, how you doing? And welcome to Fantasy Island. No, I always wanted to say that. The late Ricardo Montalban used to open up his show with "Welcome to Fantasy Island," and he was also known for the famous Chrysler Cordova commercial where he would talk about the rich Corinthian leather. This is Ricardo Montalban, who also played famously in Star Trek II: The Wrath of Khan. He played Khan, Khan Noonien Singh. That's right. And he reprised his role that he played in 1968, Star Trek episode 1967, 1966, Space Seed. One of the most popular episodes in Star Trek ever. Sadly, Benedict Cumberbatch played Khan Singh later, leaving everyone to question why would you cast an English guy to play a role that was really structured for a Latino slash Arab fellow. But I digress. Not talking about that right now, but as Barry Lee has just reminded me, and Barry, if you tweet this out, please do so under hashtag Raiders, hashtag Oakland. Le plane! Good evening, Sean. How are you? And the news today, uh, if you have not seen it already, it's right before you. It's Oakland Raiders, Las Vegas bonds, February hotel tax revenue low 3.3 million. Now, if you're asking yourself, provided you're a regular viewer of the video content I put out, Zinni, didn't you talk about this before? The answer is yes, I did. I was the first to point out that thanks to Steve Sisolak, the good Clark County commissioner, who answered my tweet question regarding what the stadium hotel tax revenue for February was, and he put it out there, and I published it on that basis. And I said, hey, this is the second lowest take of hotel tax revenue for the stadium in the short history of this program, and it indicates a problem. But then here comes Rich Vallota of the Las Vegas Review Journal to basically try and show that I'm wrong, because he goes to Jessica Colvin, the chief financial officer, perhaps conveniently forgetting that Ms. Colvin is trying to sell a financial instrument valued at 750 million, base. Well, if you add the interest rates, it's actually far north of that, and says that, oh, well, in February the number was 4.8 million. And I said, hey, wait a minute, why would Sisolak put out that it was just over 3 million and not much at all that? Yet Colvin, in fact, it was 3,037,000. Yet Colvin will put out a different number, and Sisolak would not correct his number. He didn't correct it. I got crickets from Vallota. Crickets. And so, crickets from Vallota. Thanks for the compliments, by the way. And then Vallota tried to pick at me. You know how some people, when they're not listening to you or paying attention to what they're saying, they're just trying to find fault with anything you say, any little thing? Well, on Twitter, he said that he kind of stepped in it. This is what happens when you're so trying to find that something a person said is wrong that you wind up creating a scenario to prove you're wrong yourself. In this instance, he said, well, wait a minute. And I mistakenly at first said that, hey, this is the first time in history that Las Vegas did not have an increase in its visitor rate, right? And he pointed out that the last time it happened was the recession, and he showed me where it was. He goes, see, you don't know see, you made the mistake, right? You made a mistake. And I thought, okay, so then let's turn that around. I'm happy to, I said, if this is the case, then this is the first time that this drop in visitor rates has occurred since the recession, which only proves my point, particularly because there's no recession. And then not only that, I said, if you bother to look at the monthly rates, visitor rates for hotels in Las Vegas and Clark County, you'll find that for the last 9 months and before the horrible event that was 1 October, the monthly visitor rate was less than the year before. And he says, well, if that was the case, we would have reported already. And I said, yeah, but you didn't. Okay, you didn't. And what bothers me in particular about Volodin, and I said this, and he doesn't like that I said this, is two things. And I met him. He's a nice guy in person. But like most people today who are, quote, journalists, unquote, they don't do what journalists in the past would do. And I've done this for a while, and I don't claim to be a journalist. I'm a blogger. I have an opinion. I believe in bloggers' ethics, not journalist ethics. Journalist ethics are murky, okay, and they lead to directions that I'm really not comfortable with. But I digress. In his instance, if this were a perfect world, they would say what Ed Graney did, which is why I really admire Ed as a person working for the Review Journal. Flew out to Oakland, met with me and Boss Man. It's on video. You go to Zenny62, type Ed Graney, Las Vegas Review Journal, and you can see us talking, right? And he then, Ed was very candid with me about what he could talk about and what he could not talk about. But I expected to see something written, right, about our great conversation in the Review Journal. It never happened. Never happened. And then, just prior to that, the Review Journal referred to, and this is Rick's column, Ronnie Lott as a black investor. And Ron, I know Rick doesn't feel great about that, but it happened. And see, all I'm doing is putting two and two together and coming up with what appears to be four. I'm happy to be wrong. I don't like to run out and say a person has this issue or that issue. I don't feel good about that, particularly since, my thought is, hey, look, you have a disagreement. It doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It means that you guys have a disagreement. So I'm happy to have steak with him, but, you never took me up on it. I actually followed up with Rick weeks ago, so this is months ago. Never followed up. So I figured he wasn't sincere, right? And here I'm in town. He could have said, hey, Zenny, let's have that steak we were talking about. You're here for CES. That's the way things are done, right? But they try to make it personal, like Mark Davis does. It's not personal. There is a key problem here. And the reason why I point to it is because he informs you. I inform you. And where there's a difference of information, you are entitled to know why that difference occurs. You know my biases. But also, you must know that wherever there is a discrepancy, I'm going to say, hey, look, you know what? I'm going to check it out first because I hate to be wrong. Most people do. That's only human. But I'm going to check it out and say, okay, yeah, I wasn't right here. But overall, my overall point was that Las Vegas has a visitor count problem. So here comes today at the Stadium Authority board meeting. And, I have to say kudos to the Las Vegas Sun, because unlike the Review Journal, they reported that there was this problem because Jeremy Aguilo said, hey, look, February stadium hotel tax revenue was down 14% with respect to their forecasts at 3.3 million. Ta-da! Which means that what Jessica Colvin told Rich Villoda was completely wrong, and Rich was wrong for putting it out there, and then wrong for claiming that I was wrong, when in point of fact I was right, and Sisolak, to his credit, put out the right information with some adjustments. That was the total. 3.3 million was the total. What Sisolak put out was, at the time, 3,037,000. But when you add in the entire region, it was 3.3 million. It's still low. So the overall question is, where does that leave the situation? This is what things look like, and then I'll respond to your commentary and everything else. Corvette, thank you. 3-0 Sharks in the third period. Donna says, I say keep the team name as logo in Oakland. Hey everybody, how you doing? I'll get to your comments in a second. I just want to get this uncomfortably technical matter out of the way, okay? Where it leaves us right now is here, and I will show you with my handy dandy SNTIC tax worksheet, which is, hey look, gonna last us for a while, all things considered, right? Let's have a look. Ta-da, excuse me, there it is right there, okay? It says, all right, This is the average bond debt service for the revenue test. That's 3,057,770, right? Times 1.5 is this, okay? So now, where we are, if I get this out of the way here and scroll down, this is the new number, right? That is the approximate number that was reported. I haven't seen 52 million, all right? But look at the average rate of growth right here. This is the average. You see the average steamed hotel tax revenue today? Look at that. It's just 4.0104,010,937. 4 million. So this thing is headed in the wrong direction. You want to take a look at the rate of growth comparison? Look at that. It's 1.286 million off of where we were the previous month of January. And leads a debt coverage ratio looks like that, right? So if assuming a level debt service, which we don't have, but they pushed it back, we're still looking at an eventual $207 million loss, because this is the average debt service we're talking about, which is over here, all right? That is right over, that's the average, okay? And at some point, the average, they start off below the average with the, and I found the stadium bond document at about, they started below the average, and then they will rise to over this. They're thinking the reserve will help them, they'll save them, but it won't. And I'll show you that calculation in another broadcast. But the bottom line right now is that the Raiders have to raise 56 million right now, 718,756. This is going to go down a bit when the March figure comes in. March and April figure comes in, so that by May 1st, so that by May 1st the Raiders are going to get, I said 52 million here, more like 54, the way this is going, more like 54, 55, 50, 55 million, all right? But the Raiders, as of right now, here, have to raise 56 million, 718,756. That's going to take a total of 14 months to gather at this rate. And the question is, and as I've said this before, I'll say it again, the question is, what will March look like? Because last year for March, that was the best revenue production from the stadium hotel tax in the short history of this project. It was just over $5 million. And since then, this project has never seen $5 million. And now the question becomes, given the scale, there are two questions. First of all, what will the March visitation rate look like for 2018 versus 2017? And second, where will the hotel tax, where will it come out? The stadium hotel tax revenue, where will it come out? I mean, given the fact that the February visitation rates were just lower for 2018 than 2017, and then given this $3 million production, and given what I saw firsthand in March in terms of just long stretches where there were no visitors at all, it looked like it was really down. If it becomes less than 5 million in terms of the revenue, how much less will that be? And what does this spell for the future of revenue projections from the stadium hotel tax? It's certainly not the increase that the planners are counting on. It's not looking like that at all. But that frames where we're at. And the so what is that basically have taken this project. I think one of you observed that Jeremy Willow said we've got about 5 good years. And I didn't go back and review that, but I will. Because what he may be referring to is the fact that they pushed off the increase of this debt service in such a way where after 5 years, this is going to start to become an issue for them. If it were a level debt service, it would have been an issue this year. But what they did was, it's kind of like a balloon loan. You know, you pay for it in the back end. You pass it off to the next generation, essentially. Ew. Wow. Not a great scenario, not a great situation at all. No matter how you slice it, and that's just on the side of financing stadium construction. Um, from the county end, it says nothing for financing stadium operations and the need to pay back the Bank of America $850 million line of credit. So and so right, as Crawford's, now I'll get to your comments. I'm going to work back a little bit. Let's see here. We got yeah, Oscar. The stadium's going to get built. The question is, will it be open by August of 2020? That's still right there on the table, but it will get built. There is too much money on the table now for that not to happen. But even with the shortfalls, okay. Uh, so hey Donis, hey Corvette, Sharks are up 3-0 in the third period. Did the Raiders tweet that out? Donis says like wants to keep the logo. Kevin KD repeats the information. Sharks 3-0, and my dude EK9 is on a roll. Crawford, Oscar, maybe. Barry Lee says, but Zinni, local Vegas TV stations are bragging about selling out the bonds so fast. So if you believe them, this project is secure. Hell, not, because they don't know. You know, this is all new to them. They haven't had a project like this where the state, where the Clark County has sold bonds for a project. So they're like, oh, the institutional investors have bought it. But what they didn't note was this. First of all, because they're not paid to analyze or investigate. They just gurge out what they have, whatever they read on the Review Journal, which is local and owned by Sheldon Adelson, or maybe if the Associated Press is lucky, the Associated Press. But there was one publication, I forgot who it was, that got the whole thing wrong when it said that only $645 million, $645.15 million were sold, which is correct, okay? But they said the rest of it, from the 645 to 750 million, was already, given out. That was completely wrong, and it demonstrates to what extent, and it was also repeated, and it demonstrates to what extent people don't understand in the media what they're doing. This problem of not understanding stadium finance or bonds reared its head again, before rather, when I was arguing with Rich Villoda and Mitch Akers of the Review Journal and the Las Vegas Sun, respectively, and I was saying, hey, look, the guaranteed maximum price is $1,398,000,000. And they kept saying, no, it's $1.8 billion. I said, no, read the documents. It's right there. Okay, it's right there in your face. I made a special video directed at Mr. Villoda to tell him, and it took Don Webb of the Raiders the very next day to say that the guaranteed maximum price was $1,398,000,000. And I didn't have to see Rich Villoda or Mitch Akers frown at that. I could just feel the hate coming through. as the emperor would say, right? I could feel the hate coming through for me, like doggone that Zinni. And then Villoda puts out on Twitter that we were all stumped by this. I wasn't. I told them, but hey, they have an issue with listening to me. And they do have an issue. Now, is that part race? Yeah, you be the judge, okay? But they do have an issue. But I say this because, again, if you have a person like me that has as much history with the Raiders as I do in Oakland, and then my background, you would think that all the other media people would be like Ed Graney was and say, I need to talk to this guy, right? You would think that all the other people would be like Guy Hobbs of Hobbs On says, I need to talk to this guy. And so I've given Guy a lot of information. I like Guy as a person. I want to emphasize that once again to anybody who might put out the reverse. No, Guy Hobbs is a mensch. Okay? Period. And if I were ever fortunate enough to have a development project, I'd want Hobbs and Ong as my financial managers on that project. You heard me say that right here, okay? Hobbs Ong is the firm to hire. They do a great job. You got to give it to Guy. Congratulations, Guy. There you go, okay? So, hey, got to give credit where credit is due, and I particularly like to give credit to good people. There it is. All right. Where are we now? Oh, V8, by the way. Um, Kevin KD says Oscar for sure the Raiders bail. If is the Raiders bail, and really that the original SB1 structure take over the stadium plan, aka UNLV only, with the lower tax subsidy amount. Oscar Delgado says, I think by summer heat and thunderstorms causing floods and heat summer, the stadium will get delayed. And Crawford says, Zen, those numbers will still not add up. Davis can't get really too giddy yet. No, they can't. And how about that? The way they're awfully treating the Bay Area. You know, Cameron Cady says Barry Lee and Conkey actually has the money to build his stadium. Barry Lee says, Kev, I was talking about the construction timeline, not money. Cameron KD says, Barry, the construction timeline for the Rams stadium, will still go smoother, in my opinion, because Kroenke's was better planned. I just mentioned the money as shade. Laugh out loud. Barry Lee says, who created the term shade, by the way? Barry Lee says, I agree. I'm just stating that it's been more than 2 years for the Rams stadium construction for Vegas to build a third stadium is going to take longer than 2 years. Donor says Mark Davis can take his team to Vegas, but the team's name stays here in the East Bay. Oakland? Kevin KD says Barry. Okay, I see your point. Haven't been staying in LA consistently as of late, but yeah, it looks like Vegas might not be complete until 2023. So there we are. In terms of I got all your comments out of the way today. Welcome to Zenny 62 on a Thursday night. We're talking Las Vegas Stadium Authority news about the stadium, the poor hotel stadium tax rate, among other things. Like, hey, look, the Sharks are winning. Tweet out the Sharks and how they're winning. And one of you, I don't know if Chris is a person I've come to know who, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I think I got a tip here. Wait a minute. Oh, there's something I just got in here. I got a tip, folks. Hudson County Community College, Native Presidential Search. Okay, what is this? This is this just in. Call Sharon Cornu. She's a spokesperson designate. Stadium, grand jury, whistleblower investigation. Oh, wow. A's Stadium. Explain this. I can't say who I got this from, but it would seem to have to do with the president of, Hudson County Community, and it lists Giles Laguerre as part of the presidential search. It says, this is Hudson County Community College, folks. Giles Laguerre is leaving his post, or trying to leave his post, at the at Laney College. At Laney College. Look at this, folks. I can't tell. I'm trying to be careful. This is Presidential Search, Hudson County Community College, Giles Laguerre, right there. Okay. He began his tenure as Chancellor of Peralta Community College District in Oakland. All right. Now, whistleblower, I got a note that he was tied to a whistleblower report regarding the stadium, which has only to do with the A's stadium. And I'm trying to get clarification on this. What I got note was call Sharon Cornu. She's a spokesperson designate. Stadium, grand jury, whistleblower investigation. This just in. And so let me do a copy paste real quick. This is some explosive stuff here. Sharon Cornu, I've got her number. And she is holy Vic holy. Something brewing here with Laney College regarding the A's Stadium whistleblower investigation. Hold on, all right, you heard it here first. There's a problem that involves the chancellor of Peralta Community College District. It says Dr. Legray holds a PhD. He is trying to get the job of president of the Hudson County Community College organization. And yeah, I can't say who passed this to me. I will not say who passed this to me. But he's up against Joan Russell, that's her name, PhD, and then also Christopher M. Reber, PhD too. So something brewing there, folks. Something brewing there. Now, we've got, hold on a second, excuse me, I'm going back to your comments. Let's see here. Trying to get the, oh, by the way, let's see, okay, got it. Barry Lee says, oh, by the way, Zenny, I don't believe the report from San Francisco Business Journal I sent you. That was more an advertisement for the lawyers. It wasn't announcing, as I thought it was, something that was on the upcoming agenda item, because I checked the agendas. There's nothing that indicates a discussion of a lawsuit, either at the County Board of Supervisors or at the Oakland City Council for next Tuesday. If I'm wrong, or if I saw something, I missed seeing something, please inform me, okay? But I didn't see that, all right? Donna says, we need to defend our tradition. Kevin KD says to Donis, yep. Crawford says, yes, they need to protect from taxpayers, but also a tradition and generations for fans and families. Seattle and Cleveland fought for that. Why not Oakland? I agree. Barry Lee says, what's bad is if an NFL player acted like the Raiders did on Twitter, they would be fined. Yeah. And Kevin KD says, I always forget about the Seattle case. Crawford says, that could be huge with the Peralta situation. I think so, too. I'm still waiting for some more information to come in about this. Kevin KD says, Barry Lee, the hypocrisy is stomach-turning. Jimmy T says, I hope they kick out the Raiders after this year. They disrespect the San Jose Sharks and LA Kings. Let me see here. I need to put this out on Twitter. So I got a tip. Let me put this out on Twitter right now. Just got a tip on, where is this? Whistleblower. How should I do this? Let's see here. On whistleblower investigation on stadium, grand jury, whistleblower, on, and let's see here. Chancellor Peralta Community College District in Oakland, and Dr. Aguirre, right, here. And I'm writing hashtag FYI Dave Cabal. Okay, just got a tip on stadium on developing. Got it. Okay, sorry. I was putting that on Twitter. So you'll know who broke it first. If there was a problem right here, Zenny, I got the tip. In case somebody else tries to call in and, maybe they're watching. There's 30 of you watching now and might try to call in and steal stuff. You know what I mean? Kevin KD says, Crawford, accurate statement. What did Crawford say? Crawford says, Donis, we all angry. Kevin KD says, I can't help but feel like the Raiders are up to something. You think, with a blatant disrespect of Oakland. You think? I think there is some method to this madness. There's always a method to the madness with the Raiders. Just part of the Raiders' legendary MO. Tom Kohler says, Barry and Kevin, you can't compare the construction in LA with that in Vegas. The Rams Stadium is not in a stadium. It includes hotel and restaurants. And Tom, I'm glad you brought that up because some publication put out that the NFL had granted the Rams a debt allocation increase, and that the total project was $4.9 billion, and said, and they include the stadiums and the restaurants and all that. I thought the way that was written was inaccurate because, look, at the very minimum, what doesn't change is the stadium's guaranteed maximum price, and that's the construction shell. But when they put out reports like what they did, it gives the impression that the stadium itself increased in price as opposed to what's around it, which is feeding revenue dollars into it to help finance it. Also, many of you who may have followed this for a while might remember when Eric Grubman said that having another set of land uses that feed revenue to a stadium was like having another mouth to feed. Well, this is a classic example, and that was a bad thing. But as he was saying that, Kroenke was developing that bad thing, and then Eric had to turn around and basically eat his words and say, well, okay, it's okay. And I have the video when he turned, right? I have that video. So I like Eric a lot. So Eric's Zeddy, you know. But hey, there's a lot of history here. It's going to make a great book. Kevin KD says, Crawford, maybe this is why he's doing this. Davis knows he needs the Bay Area to survive in Vegas, as he said himself, but he's pushing them away. Fishy, very fishy. Kevin KD says, man, Corey Perry is such a blankety blank. Sharks 3 Scum Ducks final. San Jose Sharks. Woo! Let's all tweet out. Congrats to the Sharks, folks. Congratulations. Congratulations. San Jose Sharks on the big win in the hashtag NHL playoffs. Excuse me. Congrats. Got it. Cool. There's my tweet. It's out there. Go Sharks. Go Sharks. Yes, I sent out on Twitter. Christian Navarro, how are you doing? He says, I wonder how Carr, as a religious man, will feel playing in Sim City. Sin City. If he lasts that long. If he lasts that long. Tom Kohler's got some interesting comments, but I want to make sure I get the others before he arrived. I got Jimmy T says, I hope they kick out the Raiders after this year. They disrespected the San Jose Sharks and LA Kings yesterday with that BS tweet. They're so obvious to their disrespect to the Bay Area. Barry Lee says, yeah, Kev, the NFL should fine the Raiders for their behavior. Albert 106 says, I was trying to get a job there. Where? Albert. Tom Kohler says, Barry and Kevin, the Sharks. Tom Kohler, welcome. Tom says, Barry and Kevin, you can't compare the construction. We talked about that. Donis Giorgio says, forgive me now. I'm hungry. Kevin KD says, I can't help but feel like the Raiders are up to something with a blatant disrespect of Oakland. I think there is some method to their madness. I've said that before, but it bears repeating because I agree. Crawford says, Donis, we're all angry. I've said that before. Kevin KD says, Crawford, accurate statement. Barry Lee says, Tom, wrong right now. It's about the stadium. Everything else comes later. Crawford says, Davis, and I understand what Tom is saying. Crawford says Davis is acting like he has it all on champagne. He better not pop the bottles yet. It's far from over. Yeah, he's got to be careful. I mean, unless he's going to announce like tomorrow that Sheldon Adelson is officially back in and everything's fine. He's going to throw all this money in it, and then Davis is really going to be, he's going to act like it looks like he may be acting. You know what I mean? So, which is sad for everybody. Why can't you win? Why can't you win pretty rather than win ugly? And by winning, I mean, look, you got what you wanted. Looks like you're going to get what you essentially want, even though there's a lot of hair on this deal. And a lot of ways you can go wrong, but you essentially are on your way to getting what you want. Why not use the occasion to bring people together rather than show hate and dislike for people for no other reason, and then put out this idea that, oh, you know, Oakland didn't give you what you wanted, when in point of fact, you never really told us what you wanted, and you never really showed us what you wanted, and you never really tried to help us in Oakland get you what you wanted. You just sat back and let us do all the work like me, and then you would like go thumbs down. Because your thumbs down was already just locked in. You didn't tell anybody it was locked in because you were headed to Vegas. That's bad stuff. Treating people like that is bad stuff. So, God don't like ugly. I believe in the Lord Jesus Christ. I believe that God sent Jesus Christ here to die on the cross to save us from our sins. But because of that, yes, we are all sinners, but it doesn't mean that God favors the sinners over the saints. The Lord puts saints through a lot, but at the end of the day, the saints are always the ones that come marching in. So, remember that. So, Davis is acting like I got that one. Tom Kohler says, Mark Davis don't understand the culture of the Oakland Raiders. They were born in Oakland. When the Raiders are in Vegas, only rich people can afford tickets. What he rich anyway. Kevin Katie says, Crawford, maybe this is why he's doing this. I got that part. Kevin Katie says, man, I got that part too. Citron says he wants Oakland fan base to move to Vegas. He's going about it all wrong. Yeah, he is. Barry Lee says, yeah, Zinni, they sit back and let you do all the work, then give you a thumbs down and then disrespect you in Florida. And again, I point out, that's not the first time the Raiders have done that to me. It's just the first time I bothered to, talk about it. I started to do it in Houston. I thought, yeah, I'm going to leave it alone. And I said, Mark, I admire what you're doing. He goes, I appreciate that, but I don't want to talk to you. Okay, fine. And that was it, So, but it's got to really just sting them to watch on YouTube and see my face all the time when something regarding the stadium comes up. It's like, da-da-da-da-da. Okay? And that's too bad. Here's my issue, my other issue. What you do, you have a person like me that's out there, is you're trying to sell them on your idea. The good thing about, for example, Guy Hobbs, he tries to sell me on the bond issue and the idea that they're watching out for the taxpayer. I get that, okay? Guy was following, look, this is a political situation for Guy and Hobbs on. They have to follow the edict of the politicians, particularly Steve Sisolak. Guess what? They don't get to do those deals anymore. They don't get to make that money. So he's got to figure out a way to make that work. That's a tough situation to be in. That's a really tough situation to be in. Otherwise, he doesn't get to be the financial manager on this gigantic project. That's a coup for them. Okay, it really is. So I don't, for a moment, blame Hobzong for what they've done, or public financial managers, or for that matter, Jessica Colvin as the chief financial officer. I blame the politicians. And I blame Steve Sisolak for pushing this forward the way he has, insisting on this gigantic subsidy when it should have been lower, and rushing this thing. But that's who I would blame right there. Now, having said all that, I say this: the great thing about this is that the people who need the work in Las Vegas the most, construction people who are beset by, among other things, the opioid crisis, are getting work. Tommy White's done his job. Stanley Washington did his job. Lynette Little John did her job for Mortensen. All right. You got to love how the basic middle class people have been helped in this. No question about it. I don't want to take that away from them. But this should not have come at the expense of a bad relationship with Oakland, among other things. I object to this kind of economic competition. I think it should be illegal. And see, if I were ever mayor of a town, like I said to someone with respect to the Warriors, I said, if I were the mayor of Oakland, I would have hit, and Ed Lee is a friend of mine, okay? I would have hit San Francisco upside the head with an economic tampering lawsuit, and I'd have figured out a way to make my attorneys make it stick. And if the city attorney didn't want to take it on, I'd dip into my budget and hire my own attorney to sue them on contingency, okay? Because that's what cities should do to protect their seed corn. Instead, Oakland lets the stuff happen, doesn't sue Las Vegas for economic tampering, or the NFL, or anything else. And that's exactly what's going on. I don't care how you feel about sports and economic development. There's one thing that no one out there can deny or object to, and that's this fact, that if you take 20,000 to 70,000 people and you put them in the right place with eateries and restaurants and shops and condominiums and apartments and homes, a city within a city that generates tax dollars that can benefit the public. It produces new types of environments for people. It produces, in short, economic development. So the question becomes, what the hell are you doing if you can't save your edifices that attract those people and also are expressions of what's called the export economy? What do I mean by that? Simple. Another undeniable example of what I mean by the export economy is the millions of times that Oakland is mentioned on television and in publications online because Oakland has the Raiders. Think about it, Oakland Raiders. How many billions of times is that out there? Oakland. It's advertisement for Oakland. The Golden State Warriors play in Oakland. The Oakland Athletics are in Oakland. That all works to the benefit of marketing for Oakland. Elected officials must understand that. And sadly, that's what our current set of elected officials, both at the county level and the city level, miss in total. There's some individually who get it, like Noel Gallo, Desley Brooks, and so on, right? But Abel Guillen, Rob Bonta, Dan Kalb, Rebecca Kaplan, Libby Schaff, the mayor gets it too. But the mayor always has this side agenda, and she's got to focus on doing the tough thing. And Libby can do it if she wants to. She can do it if she wants to, okay? She's smart. But my point is, if I were mayor of Oakland, I would have lawsuits for economic tampering flying around left and right. No one should be allowed to rip out the heart of any town like that. Just wrong. Those are economic development generators and units. Use them properly. Okay? So, we've got John Marks. How you doing? Nice to have you here. Running my mouth and John Marks walks in the building. Hey, John. Lost in Space is coming out. Very least, yeah. Let's see here. John Marks says, Raiders need to stay in Oakland, but boot Mark Davis out. Kevin KD says, maybe it's the hot weather of Florida and Texas. I didn't think about that. Oh. Kevin KD says, John Marks, that would be a dream. John Marks says, hello, Albert 106. Crawford says, this behavior by Davis hopefully motivates the Nevada governor candidates. We'll see. Tom Kohler says, hey, John Marks. John Marks says, I like to do research on Mark Davis. Go nuts. John Marks says, hi, Tom Keller. Barry Lee says, what I don't understand is they don't have a problem taking your money for game tickets, but can't. Hello? Hello? Thought I heard something. But can't. Maybe it's my chair. But can't give you. Yeah, it's the chair. But can't give you the respect you deserve when you try and interview them. Right. Um, can't stop me from talking or commenting, but you notice, hey, I didn't barge in. And also, the other so called journalists could have said, hey, wait a minute, he's reporting, at least give him a chance, right? But did they bother to defend me? No. Because take a look at the group, right? I mean, I'm not even going to bother, but the bottom line is they none of them like the kind of media that I do. And they try to do it like I do it, but they can't. It just is in one, and one of them I wanted to bring in and work with me when and I'm still on the way to getting more funding, working on it. But I just decided to jettison that, and I'm not going to name names because I actually basically like the person, but you know, the best solution under those circumstances is just simply buy the lot. I mean, buy them. I mean, buy all the people that are doing it. I mean, buy them out. That's what you do. You have to buy them out. Okay. The Atlantic had part of the equation right, but it doesn't have the other part of the equation right. And I'm not going to say what the other part of the equation right they missed. Okay. So now Kevin KD's says that he feels like Mark is a puppet for the more powerful owners in Adelson, who are the real masterminds behind this heinous relocation. Yeah, that's a great point, Kevin. I really do. I agree with that. That's a very good point. Kevin KD says they control Mark Davis' behavior, like, hey, go to these Sharks games, piss off Oakland, do all this, dance, dance, dance. We gave you all this, now you have to dance, 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 right? That makes sense. Kevin KD says they control Mark Davis' behavior and the words that come out of his mouth. Adelson is probably trying to get Davis to obliterate any shot of Oakland still wanting the Raiders. That could backfire, though. It could backfire in bad marketing, which hurts the team. I mean, I think one of the publications, and I'm not going to mention it because to me what they put out is not it's not well sourced at all. But they said that the Raiders sold 2,000 of the high-end PSLs. There are a total of 45,000. So to sell 2,000 as a percentage, let me see what's. Let me give you a quick number here. 2,000 divide 45,000 equals that's like 4%, 4.4% of the PSLs total, and yeah. And then my other question is, all right, did they sell out all of their deposits? But how many are going to come back in? My other point is this. They're going to sell some PSLs, of course. The question isn't that they sell them. The question is, do they equal 250 million in construction? And what happens when that gap isn't met? Okay? So, this is very much like when the Raiders got involved in this again. It was always like, oh yeah, we're selling these PSLs, this person's going to buy it, and all of a sudden started running the credit cards and didn't happen. Crawford says the NFL execs have to be furious about the behavior of the team. And John Mark says economic tampering is indeed been flowing on the Raiders. Crawford says if Dan Rooney was still alive, that vote would not have happened in Phoenix. No. It wouldn't have. That was horrible. And Tom Caller says, with Mark Davis' behavior, it would be a complete madness to let the Raiders play in Oakland for another season after 2018. And I think that's just speculating. That's a large reason for the behavior of the Raiders now. It's all of a sudden it's knee-jerk. It's like, oh, you're going to kick us out? Heck with that. You're going to charge us rent for us? Heck with this. We're going to go and, whatever. Um, Crawford says it's getting late. You're hearing voices. Getting late. Oh, I'm hearing voices. You might be right. I mean, I was looking for the flashlights. Like, who is that? Hey. I was gonna grab the bottle. Say, hey, you know what? I got a bottle here for you. So, so John Marks wants to boot the Raiders out of Oakland this year. Davis is declaring war on Oakland, and Oakland needs to fight back. Tom Kohler agrees. Crawford says, I don't want to see Mark dance. Trust me. These comments are funny. And Barely says, John Marks, considering those awful tweets yesterday and today, the JPA should tell the Raiders to leave after this season. Ding. Yep. And yeah, I mean, it really, Mark Davis' behavior almost completely diminishes the excitement of the return of John Gruden. That with the personnel changes they've made, and then this, and it's just not fun. It's like, oh man, this is starting not to just feel good anymore. And it should feel good. It should feel good. John Mark says, didn't that happen in Oakland in 1995? Yeah, it did, John. It really did. It's the same thing all over again. Kevin KD says, John Marks, I understand your sentiments. Albert says, I totally agree with you. Kevin KD says, stadium is complete and they leave later, but boot them out and they leave now. Either way, the pain is excruciating. Kevin KD says, honestly, telling them to leave makes me feel like Vegas wins. But them leaving would only make me feel a lot worse. This is how I look at it, okay? My point is this. Hey, Barry, good night. My point is this. You have to start as a municipality and as a city protecting yourself, protecting your reputation, and look, if the Raiders take their offer, okay, fine, the Raiders take their offer. But the question has to be, if you're taking the offer, it means you have no other place to go. And then, yeah, pay for it. But if you're going to be here, and I think this should be written in the lease, don't badmouth the region. Okay? Because that's what they're doing. Unless you think what I'm talking about is silly, the original Raiders master lease agreement had a clause that the Raiders could not badmouth the agreement, which unfortunately late Al Davis did do in 1997. I believe it was October 11th, because I wrote a memo to Oakland Mayor Ole Harris. It was my job to monitor what the Raiders were doing. And they started bad-mouthing the deal because of the whole PSL sales problem. All right? There's some things you don't put on national television that was written in the deal not to do. We've got to have that an agreement. If the Raiders don't want to sign an agreement where that asks them to be nice while they're here in Oakland, then you know what? Fine. Go. We have to start protecting ourselves. And also, some of you need to come to this realization, all right? The housing costs in the Bay Area are so high. There's so many people just struggling to pay the rent that they don't have the energy to marshal in gigantic groups to say, hey, Raiders, you're wrong, or stay here, or anything else. So they're looking for others to help out. But the situation in terms of living conditions in the Bay Area is dire. Across the Bay, San Francisco has the highest median housing cost, $1.6 million. That's crazy stuff, okay? That's where we're at. That's where we're at. And it's a known fact that if you have to work more within a 24-hour period, you know what suffers? Leisure time. You don't have as much of it. And that's going to, as people go into Vegas, and Vegas is talking about, hey, we got the one of the largest and fastest growing cities. You watch the cost of living continue to go up there, and watch the have not divide continue to widen within an economy that is not equipped to deal with it as well as the Bay Area economy. Okay, so John Marks wants to strip the Raiders brand. Kevin KD says 1.6 million, and I thought Vancouver was bad. Jeez, yeah. Oh, housing costs are just sky high, man. Just sky high. Just straight out, just like completely sky high. Okay. Got some notifications here. Okay. Duck hunt. Duck hunt. I like that. Also, I've got to wake up early in the morning, so I'm gonna break this one in about 10 minutes, 15 minutes or thereabouts. Okay. Harford says NFL owners don't like lawyers, and I'm working on getting a surprise guest, by the way. Of course, if I tell you who it is now, it won't be a surprise, will it? I can say that this person is a popular blogger. I can say that more than likely you may not have heard of this person, but you may very well have seen this person's, blogs. So hopefully they respond, and I haven't got a response yet, but we'll find out. I don't know. Always trying to get guests. This will be the first guest I've had in a while, if this happens. And then, of course, stay tuned tomorrow, because I may put out a special live stream regarding this other information I'm following up on, and I may do it from anywhere. All right, anywhere. By the way, also, it comes out? Lost in Space. In fact, is Lost in Space out right now? Albert 106 says, KTU just reported a piece of land sold for $1 million in San Francisco and San Jose. Crawford says California needs to get it together with taxes. Kevin KD says, for the time being, I really hate it, but it's somewhat convenient. John Mark says he might be able to move it back to Oakland this year. And some sad news as I move to a close. My friend Annie Campbell Washington is going to step down as Oakland City Council member. She's going to finish out her term. And for reasons that I would prefer to leave out of public conversation. But I think Annie has more than masterfully served the city of Oakland for almost 20 years. And I can say I've been proud to know her even before then. So I wish her and her husband very well. And I hope that while she sticks around, she continues to do the right thing, and in all the different ways that she's done the right thing. So yeah. John Mark says, did the Oakland bureaucracy get to her? No, John. It had nothing to do with that, and that's it had nothing to do with that. No, no, nothing to do with that at all. No. So it was a shock to all of us. Continues to be a shock to us all. John Mark says, I wanted to take a trip to Toronto. Yeah, go for it. Hey, speaking of Toronto, do you realize that Edmonton, Alberta, has 166 straight days of below freezing temperatures? That is crazy, man. I mean, that is crazy. I have never, wow. Can you say outrageous? I can. Outrageous, dude. Outrageous. Yeah. I could say totally outrageous. Yeah, Albert says, wow. And then did anybody see the excerpts from Oh, Kevin KD says, my friend lives in Edmonton and says that Toronto is like summer compared to where he lives. My gosh. Well, then how about James Comey and Trump? Oh, what embarrassing. I'm going to just for grins, I'm going to go and do a search for Donald Trump and just, see what pops up. Donald Trump. I just want to see what news pops up. This is your president of the United States. Here's the news. There's a very disturbing pattern of silencing Donald Trump's accusers emerging. That's CNN. Then CNN again. James Comey just went to war with Donald Trump. That was 4 hours ago, both of them. And then there's The Week. This is 38 minutes ago. If you're Trump's alleged love child, Trevor Noah has bad news for you. This is the news that you get. Look at this, folks. Look at this. This is the news that you get right here if you do a search for Donald Trump. This is your president. This is your president of the United States, okay? That's your president of the United States. But having said that, I have to buttress that bit of news with the latest in moments. You got to see this because, oh, by the way, here comes Friday the 13th. This is a graduation photo that's got everybody going. Look at this. Wouldn't mind getting her on the show, though. Ta-da. This woman's graduation photo with a gun sparked the conversation. And her name, first of all, her name is Brianna Spencer, 22. Take a look. Women for Trump, and look at that. You get the point? Take a look at that. Jeez Louise. Talk about, well, okay? It's cute, though. Okay. Holy boy, oh boy. Holy moly. Holy moly. Can only say holy moly. Okay? This is the country we have today. Oh boy, oh boy. John Mark says, wow, dilly dilly. Joseph Binsman, how you doing? Oh boy. That was something else, all right? Kevin KD says he hates the Maple Leafs. All right, folks, it is 1:38, and I'm going to have to bid everybody adieu because I got to wake up early again. For Mom. Kevin KD says Ontario and California both have a 13% tax rate. Joseph Min says, did you see about Seattle not granting Kaepernick a high trial because he wouldn't give up his kneeling? That was whack. Yeah, totally ridiculous. Totally ridiculous. And John Mark says, you bet your last money, it's all going to be a stone gas, honey. And he also says, does John Marks, watch horror films, keep America strong. Hey, folks, I believe Lost in Space is on now, right? Let me see here. Let me type Lost in Space. Lost in Space 2018. Lost in Space review. Let's see. Lost in Space review. Netflix sci-fi reboot takes a small step into the future. That was 6 hours ago. New York Times, 9 hours ago. Lost in Space, this time with more company. And, yeah, looks like, let me see if there's any Lost in Space mention on Twitter. Because I know it's supposed to have started by now. This is Friday the 13th, right? But I don't know if they actually started at midnight or what. So I'm typing Lost in Space, and it says, Lost in Space is back, the story of the 60s sci-fi show that predated Star Trek. It did. And so it says 12 hours ago, T-minus 1 day until launch. Then Lost in Space Twitter account says brace for impact. 40 minutes ago, it says it's at midnight, so it's not. It says the new Lost in Space premieres at midnight Pacific Standard Time. Here are midnight Pacific Standard Time, so that's 3 o'clock in the morning in the East. So basically Lost in Space premieres, it's 1:40 in the East now. You've got an hour and 20 minutes before Lost in Space premieres. Okay, so there's 6 reasons you should watch. You only need one. And I'm actually excited for this. Just a few more hours. My excitement is tempered, you know. So we'll see. But hey, it's got good reviews. The only thing that bothers me is with these promotions is and it's self-serving. The PR people in Hollywood don't like influencer types. Okay, some of them do, but for big stuff like this, they like to go with the publications and all that, and I think that's a mistake. Sell me on your program. Sell me. Sell me on your program. All right. I bid everybody adieu. Love, peace, and soul. Hey, T. Cooper. How you doing, man? I will see everybody later. Definitely Sunday. All right. Bedtime for this guy. See ya. Not for Bonzo, but for this guy. See ya. All right.